Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube. Welcome to another Metaltober 2019 edition of Album of the Week. This, of course, is episode number 46. When in the hell was I gonna do a Album of the Week on this classic record? It's about damn time. That, of course, is the second studio album from, of course, King Diamond. This, of course, was the second album for King Diamond going solo after the split, of course, of Merciful Fate, who, of course, just recently got back together, if you hadn't noticed. That was, like a month ago it was announced, with the lineup that did the album 9. Still, it's just cool that just to see Merciful Fate's name once again be put on banners for or listed for festivals and so on. It's just cool. Merciful Fate's definitely one of my favorite bands, of course, and King Diamond is definitely up there. Is definitely one of my other very much favorite singers for sure, especially metal vocalists and metal frontmen. But this album definitely, as far as some of his solo material, is definitely by far one of his best. I mean, it's still the only King Diamond album I own. Yes, I know. Isn't that something? Even though I'm definitely hoping to rectify that. But still, since I have it, and this is, again, in the month of October, perfect time for this album. What better way than to actually spotlight this classic album? That's, of course, again, Abigail from King Diamond, which was released on October 21st of 1987. So it's definitely past its 30 years, even though it's right now? The 32nd anniversary of this album. But again, it was released back in October 21st of 1987. And again, just a perfect time, perfect day, and so on to talk about this classic album. This, of course, would be the last one from, of course, former Merciful Fate members like Michael Denner and, of course, bass player Timmy Hansen. Again, after this, they would eventually either leave or get kicked out. I don't know what's the complete story there, but again, they would leave and be replaced by fresh faces. But man, what an album though to kind of leave on, because this is just a perfect fucking album. If you ask me, this is a perfect fucking record. Again, this is also what is the first full-on concept album, which, of course, from here on out, all of King Diamond solo albums are based around a concept story. Here, that could go on briefly into it. It, of course, I'm going by at least what Wikipedia has the plot lines here. Anyways, Abigail tells the story of a young couple, Miriam, Matthias, and Jonathan LaFay, who move into an old mansion that LaFay inherited. It takes place in the summer of 1845. At their arrival, they, of course, are warned by 7 horsemen not to move into the house, because if they do, 18 will become 9. They do not heed the warning and proceed to move into the mansion. During their first night, Jonathan meets with Count de LaFay, the family ghost, which, of course, a reference to a song from this album, of course, titled The Family Ghost, which, of course, had a music video and was also a video that was even at one point was featured on, of course, Beavis and Butthead. You could probably find that bit on YouTube. Anyways, let's proceed further, kind of do a little rundown of this story. Who is a deceased relative? Ooh. The ghost shows him a casket in which a corpse of a stillborn child, Abigail, which of course is what the album is titled after. Again, our little stillborn child here, who of course is dead, rests. The ghost informs him that Miriam is carrying the spirit of Abigail and that the child will soon be reborn. He insists that Jonathan must kill Miriam at once to prevent the rebirth, and you can definitely find the rest out if you get the album or listen to the album, which again, the album is definitely a blast to listen to. It definitely features some of the best stuff, I will say, and definitely summons up at least or expands on the character of King Diamond and the so on. Definitely, I would say King Diamond is for sure probably the I would say the true metal heavy metal equivalent to, of course, Alice Cooper. Again, this is, I would say, I'll probably, as far as this, should be up there next to like Welcome to My Nightmare. Is just classic fucking, just a classic concept album, classic record, and so on. It's just a great heavy metal album. And there's plenty of just, again, great musicianship. Again, here we also have future Motorhead drummer Mickey D, which, just a little brief here to kind of bring up. You probably should know what next week is going to be, and it should know what anniversary of what Motorhead album is. So, just a little bring that up. Again, so back to it. Again, it definitely, and his drumming on here is just fantastic. It definitely kind of gives you the insight why a guy like Lemmy would end up picking Mickey D as his replacement for guys like either, Phil Taylor. Just again, just great energy and just fantastic musicianship on throughout the whole record. He's definitely just lights up through the whole entire album, and musically, again, I would say this is almost at times slightly power metal in some places. It's definitely not completely far off from what you're getting in Europe, especially with bands like Helloween, which is definitely the main band I really can definitely compare this to. But the only difference is if Helloween definitely even featured, definitely decided to actually focus on even more horror-esque lyrics. But again, King Diamond adds this charm to it, and again, there's just plenty of good songs here. Again, one being Arrival, A Mansion in Darkness, The Family Ghost, which I just had briefly mentioned also earlier, The Seventh Day of July 1777, Omens, which is a great fucking song too, and The Possession, the title track, Black Horseman. Of course, one of the bonus tracks on this was kind of, what was it, the 25th anniversary edition I got here. It's a deluxe, even though it's actually titled the top shelf edition. There's a bonus track on here called Shrine, and it's another fucking great track, and just another way to kind of again end off a really good metal album here. Everything's just great about this. There's really nothing bad I can say. It's just a perfect metal album, and as far as when it comes to lyrics and the story and so on, it's just perfect. And if you're not a big into concept albums, I'll stay still listening to this one. It's just a killer fucking metal album. Because, again, got great musicianship. And also, anyone that was ever at one point put off by King Diamond's very rather unique high falsettos and his voice and tone and so on, he doesn't completely do that throughout most of them, even though he does. But he just has a way of changing it up, going into sort of the mid-deeps and stuff. And, of course, the highs and keeping... his range is actually, I'll say, is definitely good on here for this album. I'll say I will definitely, in some ways, would put this next to some of my favorite stuff for Merciful Fate. I don't know if I could say that for all the King Diamond albums, because of there's still few I still got to listen to. I still got to get. Either way, though, it's just a great album and definitely is deserving of a spot. And I've talked about this album many times. I've done one of these Metaltober months and so on for this channel. I've always threw this album in there. It's just a fucking great album, and definitely one of my favorites at this point. It's a fucking great album. I can go on and on and on about this album. It's just that fucking great to me. It's definitely one of King Diamond's finest material, and one of the finest for guys like Michael Denner, Timmy Hansen, of course, the drummer Mickey D, and Annie LaRocque. This is just perfect. The musicianship is just fucking fantastic on this album. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. This is the Heavy Thrasher Sam out. Now see you all later. Take care, everyone. And definitely, if you haven't listened to this album in a while, definitely give this another listen. Respin and so on. So with that, take care, everyone.